I've spent a lifetime building an empire, a legacy intricately woven into the fabric of global finance, where every decision was carefully considered and every success was the fruit of relentless grit and unwavering dedication. Each milestone echoed the many sleepless nights and the early morning meetings where I forged plans that would eventually position me atop the financial world, like a monarch surveying their kingdom. My kingdom was one of numbers and strategies, negotiations and alliances shaped through sheer will and a tenacity that burned brightly within me. On a crisp autumn morning, however, a storm brewed on the horizon of my carefully constructed realm, and I felt as though the very foundation of my empire had been violently ripped away. It was as if I had been tossed into a vortex of disbelief and confusion, leaving me gasping for air in an ocean of uncertainty. My cards had been blocked, severed as though a thief had cruelly snatched away my very essence. In that instant, I was struck with a feeling that something precious had been stolen from me, leaving a gaping void in my soul that felt insurmountable. The sensation was visceral. It felt like a personal affront, a raw wound to a legacy I had nourished for decades. Can you recall the pain of something you've cherished suddenly being taken? It was like a tender dream transformed into a dagger that cut down to the bone. How could this be happening? Why now, when my fortune stood proudly at over $3 billion, shimmering like a mirage in the desert of financial stability? I had always known that the world of finance was fraught with peril, yet I believed myself invincible, shielded by my successes and the vast network I had cultivated over the years, a fortress fortified by loyalty and trust. As I stood, gazing over the sprawling skyline of Manhattan from my lavish penthouse, my thoughts raced. I felt the city pulse beneath me, a vibrant entity crafted from the dreams and sacrifices of my ancestors, those whose hard work and relentless ambition laid the very foundations long before my time. My home, adorned with centuries of art and memories of struggle and triumph, glittered in the midday sun, an enduring testament to power and ambition that knows no bounds. The splendor around me was a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing within. Yet, amidst the immense wealth, I slowly began to realize that I had inadvertently created rifts, dividing me from those I cherished. The walls of my empire, so carefully erected, were now threatening to engulf everything in darkness. I had climbed too high, and in doing so, I had forgotten the importance of the bonds that held me steady. A burning anger surged within me, fueled by memories of a family dinner just a week prior. We had gathered in celebration, yet the air was thick with hidden disappointment and veiled concern. Conversations about my empire had grown hushed, laden with unspoken truths that loomed above us like an oppressive fog. Why hadn't I sensed this brewing discontent? I fervently thought. Beneath the shimmering surface of our relationships lay a turmoil poised to erupt into chaos, ready to betray the trust that had held us together for decades, like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode in a chorus of betrayal. In the days leading up to my financial debacle, whispers enveloped me, their incessant drone ensnaring me in a web of questionable alliances I had once considered secure. I had placed my unwavering trust in Robert, my CFO, a man I regarded as family. Our business ventures totaled millions. I believed in his ability to navigate this tumultuous financial world with unmatched expertise and insight. His charm, Ivy League education, and persuasive demeanor lulled me into complacency, shielding me from any doubts that threatened to taint the brilliance of my success. The irony was cruel. How could someone I held in such high regard turn out to be the architect of my impending doom? Then, on that fateful morning when my cards were blocked, I reached for my phone, trembling with a mounting sense of dread. I called my bank's customer service, my heartbeat racing like a drum in my ears. The representative, shaky and unsure, informed me that they were investigating transactions under review. My mind reeled in disbelief, spiraling into a vortex of fear and uncertainty that I could scarcely control. Thoughts raced through my head, casting shadows over my aspirations, creeping through my veins like a thief in the night, yet more brutal. I couldn't help but remember my recently acquired yacht, the culmination of my dreams, and the extravagant trips I had meticulously planned. Each vision now tarnished by a lurking specter of betrayal, twisted into a waking nightmare. With a heavy heart, I began to uncover a bitter truth. My frantic search through documents revealed nearly $1 billion in illicit transfers to offshore accounts, casting an ominous shadow over my financial triumph. Every access to my assets had been suspended without warning, snuffed out like a candle in the wind. It was as though a dark storm swept in, leaving my empire vulnerable and exposed to the elements I had once thought I was impervious to. The ground I had meticulously built my life upon began to quake under the weight of betrayal, threatening to swallow everything I had worked so tirelessly for. My empire now felt like a house of cards, shaky and teetering on the brink of collapse. Despair propelled me into action as I organized an emergency meeting with my legal team. Surrounded by artifacts celebrating my triumphs, from accolades to successful investments realized, I was inundated with an overwhelming mix of power and vulnerability colliding within me. My team laid out the evidence, pieces of a gruesome puzzle spilling over the table. One key revelation was a bank statement from a Swiss account showing $12 million siphoned without my consent. The realization struck me like a lightning bolt. My world was unraveling, fraying at the edges of my carefully crafted life. But amidst the chaos, a fierce resolve ignited within me. I would not go quietly into the abyss. I would rise higher than before from the ashes of my misjudgments, come what may. Finding the culprit consumed my thoughts like a raging wildfire. Robert had been trusted implicitly. How could he betray me so callously? Memories of shared laughter, late nights spent pondering the future, and moments of camaraderie returned in waves. Each wave reminded me of the times I had defended him, believing in his unwavering loyalty with every fiber of my being. The stench of deceit fueled my determination to seek justice. A newfound fire ignited within me. I would not be brought low by treachery. I would take back what was rightfully mine, reclaiming my narrative with vengeance. Before I could fully process the magnitude of the betrayal, invitations to an elite gala at the esteemed Plaza Hotel arrived. Their appearance seemed like a cruel mockery of my chaotic existence. Yet I felt compelled to attend, desperate to maintain a semblance of control despite the storm swirling within me. The gala promised to gather the brightest minds in finance, their laughter ringing hollow against the tumultuous thoughts echoing in my mind, a dissonant symphony playing an ominous tune. As I stepped into the opulent ballroom, I felt the familiar gazes pierce through my veneer of confidence. Old acquaintances murmured rumors about my financial chaos with glee, relishing the prospect of my ruin, their eyes glinting with malicious curiosity. Yet, amidst this darkness, I was determined to reclaim my narrative, to seize back my power from the right's jaws of chaos. The defining moment hit me like a bolt of lightning when I spotted Robert mingling among the crowd, his smile plastered on his face. He seemed unbothered, blissfully ignorant of the storm brewing inside my soul. "We need to talk," I hissed, gripping my handbag tightly, my knuckles turning white with tension. Every inch of my being focused on reclaiming the dignity stripped from me. The unease that washed over his face reflected his awareness. He had crossed a line, a sacred boundary once held by trust and loyalty, now tread upon by his betrayal. I refused to back down. I needed answers, and justice coursed through my veins as fiercely as wildfire. I pulled him away from the crowd and into the dimly lit corner, away from the glitz that disguised the treachery. In front of the elite, I confronted Robert publicly, my voice slicing through the murmur of conversations like a knife through silk. "Your deception has cost me billions, Robert. I won't stand for it. My empire will not be tarnished by your greed." A charged silence enveloped the room, all eyes locked onto our shocking confrontation. An electrifying tableau of disbelief and intrigue formed around us. I laid bare not only Robert's treachery, but also the systemic failures that had allowed such a betrayal to blossom, dismantling the foundation of our empire piece by piece as I spoke. I wielded my voice like a sword ready for battle, and my words became the medium of truth, brimming with purpose and intent. Each syllable, an anchor to my resolve, tipped the delicate balance of sympathy as whispers cascaded through the hall. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. The sympathy that had once favored me shifted like the winds in a storm, morphing into ire directed at Robert. The conversations once laced with reluctance and gossip now unveiled his audacity, celebrating my resilience and my refusal to bow in the face of deceit. Every word I forged became a brick in the rebuilding of my reputation, mending the schisms between the rich and powerful, knitting together alliances anew with grit and unwavering determination. In the aftermath of the gala, as the dust settled, I grasped a profound lesson that resonated far beyond mere financial wealth. It's about the connections we forge and the trust we cultivate amid uncertainty and deception. Life's blocks may crumble when faced with adversity, but resilience remains steadfast, like the marble pillars of my family's legacy, unyielding even against nature's fiercest tempests. Today, while my fortune may appear intact, the shadow of vulnerability lingers, a silent reminder of the precarious balance we undertake in life. The process unfolded before me like a grand tapestry woven with intricate threads, teaching me the delicate balance between trust, power, and the fragility of human relationships, a tightrope walk demanding caution with every step. I stood tall and proud, a woman forged in betrayal, wielding a narrative of loss, recovery, and relentless pursuit of justice as my armor. As I emerged stronger from the abyss, I invite you to ponder. What would you do when everything you've built comes into question? True strength, I learned, lies not merely in the accumulation of wealth, but within the connections we nourish amid love, loyalty, and scrutiny. What endures through adversity isn't just the empire we build, it's the integrity of our character, our will to rise again, and our relentless dedication to pursue our destiny, come what may. Reflecting on the lessons learned during those tumultuous times, I realized that resilience isn't merely about the act of building wealth. It's about nurturing values, cherishing the people who stand with us through life's storms. My legacy would be immortalized not just for monetary achievements, but for the lives touched, the futures shaped, and the communities uplifted through my endeavors. As I envision my next steps with a clarity of purpose honed by hardship, I vow to uphold the values instilled in me by my family, ensuring my empire rises again, not only in wealth, but within the hearts of those grateful for the opportunities I create. The world may try to knock us down, but we stand unyielding, drawing strength from the battles we endure and the lessons learned along the way. I embrace life's unpredictability, carrying the knowledge earned from every betrayal and triumph, ready to sculpt a legacy that transcends time and material wealth. It's infused with authenticity, passion, and the fierce courage to resurrect dreams amidst daunting storms. In this grand narrative of life, let this tale serve as a poignant reminder. No empire is built alone, and the strength of our character, forever intertwined in the connections we cultivate, is ultimately what we leave behind. As I contemplate my journey toward rebuilding and reaffirming my identity, I resolve not only to rise, but to uplift others throughout the process. The real measure of success lies in how we affect those around us. This journey demonstrates that true wealth is found not in the digits of our bank accounts, but in authenticity, compassion, and the unwavering courage to pursue our dreams. Daunting as the path may appear, victory is reserved for those who dare to forge ahead, undeterred.